Hi fellow traders, welcome back to the second part of my trading setups video. In this one, I'm going to be going over some trades demonstrating my opening range breakout, and the same ticker ended up setting up for a VWAP trade, um, on a pullback. And this is really my bread and butter trade. This is what I look for every day, first thing out of the gates. I don't get them every day, maybe once or twice a week. But when I do, I need to be ready to maximize the potential on these trades. So let's go to my chart here. FCX, this was a ticker that gapped up that morning. Went through, it was on my gap up scanner. Kind of went through the vetting process, and this is a high float stock. I think this float is like 1 billion. And I look for low float stocks, anything under 100 million shares. But this is one of those that it may be a high float stock, but it trades like a low float stock. It gets a lot of volume in, and it can make some pretty good moves. Once you encounter them, you tend to remember the ticker symbol, and you kind of keep that filed in the back of your brain. And then here's another one, HLF. This gap down pre-market. It was a sympathy play on another ticker that put out some negative news. So I was looking for this to build up some um, volume during pre-market, but it never did. I was looking for it to fade at the open, give me a pretty decent move down, and then maybe a reversal move later. But because it didn't have any volume, I just set it up for keep it on watch for later on in the day. Because once volume comes in, um, it ought to start making a move. Now here, just opened, not even a minute into open. I'm looking for this for opening range breakout, and you see it took off as soon as it opened. It popped up, 15, 20 cents already. I wouldn't take this too soon because I've got a level of resistance here, and I wouldn't take this opening range breakout until it got over this resistance. So right now, this is what I'm looking for, it to push and hold this, push this resistance, hold above it to where this becomes support, and I can take a trade off of it. Give me a nice risk versus reward trade, because I'll be looking for it to push up to the next hold number, which is 13. Since I don't have another area of resistance above that, it can take off and run a couple dollars, or it can stop at the next hold dollar. So 13 is going to be my focus on here. And right here, I'm just going to keep watching it. You can see, look at the float, 30-cent float. 30-cent spread. It had a 30-cent spread for a minute. And that's what happens when you don't have a lot of volume come in. You get these huge spreads, and it makes it very difficult to trade. So that's why I won't even touch it until later on in the day when it builds up some volume. It's got to have at least 1 million shares traded before I get in it. This is a low float stock, but the volume didn't come in like I had anticipated. So my eyes are going to be on this one for my opening range breakout. And it looks like, I'm looking at this, and it's already traded almost 2 million shares. It's going to hit 2 million shares, right now. So it's already traded 2 million shares, and it is pushing. So I'm really looking for this to push through this level. If not on the first 5-minute candle, definitely the second 5-minute candle. And it may give me a 5-minute opening range breakout, but if not, I should get a 10-minute, using the 10-minute. But I'm pretty sure I'll get the 5. I'm going to I'm entering on the 2-minute. I have the 5-minute here, which I look for the setup. But I have the 2 minute, which I want to gain my entry on. On an opening range breakout, it's pretty simple. This makes it easy having this area right here. So all I'm going to do is look for a candle to push this, close above it, and then I could get in on the next candle. And that's what my plan is right now. And you see on this, you got a ton of volume. You can see the spreads, 1 cent, 2 cents, sometimes 3 cents, but you're not getting, the spreads that you saw down here. See, right now it's 12 cents, 15 cents, a huge spread. So you can lose money real quick, if you're not careful and you don't know what you're doing with a ticker like this. Oh, look, there it goes. It's pushing above it. This closed right on it. So this is looking good. So I'm gonna go ahead, give it a minute to make sure it's gonna do what it's gonna do. But this looks like a good level to get in. It's almost been 5 minutes. I mean, it's real close. But because of how strong this looks and the volume coming in, I may get on it before it just looks good. All right, so I went ahead. I'm in. Have a 1265 average on 1,000 shares. So, like I said, my first target is going to be 13. It's going to run up, and this is where it's kind of similar to Ross when I get in these trades. If it's running up this fast, I'm going to go ahead and probably take 500 shares. If it comes up and taps 13, and then I'll hold 500 and wait and see, what happens to it. If it's going to push 13 or if it comes back, then I'll just take profit. But this is how I trade these opening range breakouts. And this is almost trading as fast as, one of those gap and goes where they pop up and start running. And you got to realize this stock has a 1 billion share float and it's moving like this. So let's see if I'm going to get up here. All right, there we go. All right, I'm out 500. Let's see what we got. So I've got 500 more to sell. I'm gonna wait for the next candle. Doesn't look. It got up to 12.97. So let's see what it's gonna do. So I was looking to take half when it got up, close to 13. Didn't quite make it, but still got a good profit anyway. We're already up a couple $100. So let's see what this is gonna do now. So I'm looking at level 2, just to give me an idea of the orders coming in. Some people hide their orders, so it's kind of hard to determine. And I really don't look at it too much. I just kind of glance at it. But the main thing is I'm looking at the price action. I'm looking at the volume. And here already we've got over 5 million shares traded on this ticker. It's struggling to get back up there. I don't think it's going to make it back. Based on my experience, when you have something like this, it prints a long wick to the top, you're probably going to get fade. See, here it's coming down. Let me see. I'm going to give it a little bit more time. See, this is printing one with the large wick to the top too. A lot of times that tells me that the move is pretty much dead. So I'm going to give it a couple minutes or a couple ticks. Let's see what it's going to do. Now this candle has another minute and a half before it closes. If I can get it back up to 1280, 1290, I may go ahead and take it off right now. But as you can see, this is how I'm managing I took my trade off of this for support. My stop was a close below this. Now that this is working, I don't have I don't have anything really moving up to base it off of. So on a trade like this and it's this fast, I have to treat it almost like a gap and go. The only thing is I'm not trading with a 1 minute candle. I'm really using a 2. I'm just slowing everything down so that I can get a better view of what's going on. Yeah, this thing is struggling. Wait for this candle to close. It's almost 9:40 now. Yeah, I'm getting out. We got 1289. That's what I wanted to do. If it hit back up there, I was going to take it off. All right, so we're out. We're up 260 already, and it's like 9:40. It's been 10 minutes, and I didn't do. This would have been a good gap and go, because once it broke the high pre-market, you had a nice range up here. So now what I'm going to look for it to do, I'm going to kind of wait, give it time to pull back, and see if we can get another entry somewhere once you get the pullback. So that's what I'm looking for here. All right, so here we've got on the 2 minute candle. This is what I'm entering on. It's holding above the VWAP. You've got this candle printing above the VWAP. And I've got this candle that's starting to print red. I've got the 9 moving up. So that's my confirmation that I can enter the trade. So I'm going back in my full 1,000 shares. Oops, it's slipping a little bit. Let's see. I got some pause now because I was about to go in and it looked like it started pulling back. It's still riding on top of the 9. And I'm looking at kind of glancing at level 2. And right now I don't know whether it's going to hold or not. It's going to give me a good chance to enter. So I'm holding on right now. Holding on. I've got my finger on the trigger, but this thing needs to confirm above the VWAP. And it needs to hold above the 9 over here for me to really get it, because I almost clicked the button a little while ago. I'm glad I looked up before I hit it. So like I said, I want to see it hold this level. I want to see it hold above the VWAP for another move back up to 13. It gets up here to 13, I'll take half. Probably take half at 13, and then see how far it runs, because there is no another level up here. So really the sky could be the limit. You never know. So you just have to be ready. Finger still on the trigger. Waiting to see if this 2-minute candle holds. It's about to close here in about 30 seconds. I'm looking for some strength here. Alright, this looks better. I'm going to go ahead and take my position. So we're in 1,000 shares. I'm going to look to take it. If it can push 13, I'll take half off there. And let's see. All right, got some pullback here, but I mean the good thing is we're we're still above it. My stop's going to be a candle to close below the VWAP. Now it doesn't matter whether it goes below it. It has to close. It can start printing below it all it wants to, but it has to close below the VWAP before I take the trade off. Before I take it off. So right now we're just watching, waiting to see what it's going to do here. You see on the 2-minute it is going below the 9, but it's just printing below it. The VWAP is my stop, because this trade hasn't worked yet. So the VWAP is going to continue to be my stop. Probably could have held it for a little while longer before I got in this trade. But I've got a nice tight stop. I know if it starts printing below the VWAP, then the idea I had for this trade will be gone. All right, so sitting here waiting to see this thing. Just really waiting for this trade to start working. That's pretty much all I'm doing. Just waiting for this trade to start working. All right, and here we go. We're about to push 13. So remember, I want to take half at 13. And hopefully it'll get to 13. Hopefully it'll break the high of, the 10-minute. It'll be it can be looked at as a 10-minute opening range breakout. Because it's going to break the high of the first 15 minutes, really. This will be a 15-minute opening range breakout. But because this, all right, here we go. I'm going to sell. We got 13, taking half off. Only have 500 left on. So let's see how far this is going to run. The next half I would take off is the 50 cent, which is a $0.50 mark. If I don't have an area of support or resistance, I look at whole and $0.50 marks as the next big thing. But right here is an upper deviation band. Here's a lower deviation band from the VWAP. And I use these as an area of resistance, up here in the area of support. Because a lot of times if a stock is weak, it's going to hit this and kind of bounce back. But when you have a strong stock like this, normally it's going to push through it just like it did here. And usually it'll do that within, the first hour. After the first hour, it's probably going to trade within this range. But as long as it has momentum, and it's got some decent volume behind it, it's going to continue to push up. So right now I'm looking for 13.50 to sell the rest of my shares. And this is a typical trade off the VWAP. We had the open range breakout, the 5-minute open range breakout that I took, here, took profits up here, and now we came on the first pullback. We took it off the VWAP, and this was a perfect VWAP trade. So we're getting really 2 for the price of 1 here. So this is slowing down some. If it can't push this level, and say this starts to curl over and flatten out, then I'll probably take the trade off, because this is telling me that if it flattens out, this is turning into resistance, and this is probably not going to be able to push through it. So right now I'm giving it some time. Want to see what it's going to do. Check the time on my video here. Yeah, we've got enough time to see if this is going to work before I run out of time on my video here. And what it looks like I might have to do is, on this reversal trade, probably just have to do a separate video on it. You look at it, the spread is still kind of crazy. We got 10-cent spread here. The volume is starting to come in, so I am going to expect this spread to tighten up a little bit. And you see here, we did have a nice little reversal off this level right here. This is a level from the daily chart. So I got a nice little bounce off of this. But you see the 9 coming in, the VWAP was coming down. I would not have taken this trade because it would have been a scalp, and it being a $50 stock, I wouldn't have had enough shares in it to really make any money on it. So if you right here wasn't the level for me to take it. I'm looking for it to come down here, and the 9 to come down so that I can get in above it. Oh, here we go. This trade is working. It's back up above here. See how it flattened out? So right now I don't know what it's going to turn into. If it closes below this, then I'm going to go ahead and take the trade off. This candle just started printing, so I don't know if it's going to wash or not. Yeah, it looks like we might get a wash on it. I'm going to hold on to it for a second. I mean, we are up on the trade, so we do have room to work. We're trading with the house's money, so to speak, right now. So let's see where it takes us. But I am, in the next video, I'm going to come back to this, and we're going to go through this trade, and I'm going to show you why I wouldn't have taken it right here. Because everything's trending down still. And even though it's riding this area of support, it really doesn't have anything to push it off. See, the volume died. So, right now it's just not ready. Oh, this one started curling up again. All right, it looked like it was flatlining here for a minute. It was going to turn into resistance, but it's not. Might get that 1350 I'm looking for. We'll see here in a minute. We got 44, 42. Nope. I'm going to go ahead and take it off. I don't like the way it's trading. So we're out. On this trade, we got 660 bucks. On 2 trades, the opening range breakout and, a trade off the VWAP. And you could see where, scaling out, I was able to lock in profits here. And give it a chance to run up here. I was giving it a chance to hit 1350. It may still do that, but you can see now where it's trading under this upper deviation band, and this is going to serve as resistance. If it doesn't do it now, it's going to do it here pretty soon. You're looking at the 2-minute chart, it's already done it. This is pulling back in. It hasn't been able to push this level here. So this tells me that it's time to get out, when I see something like this. All right, so this covers my VWAP and my open range breakout trades. Gives you an idea of what I look for, how I manage my trades. This was a textbook open range breakout move, and then a textbook first pullback move off the VWAP. Nice, safe, good risk reward, and you don't need a big account to trade it. And if you only put in 500 shares, you could have got 330 bucks, even on 500 shares. So this, these are the type trades I look for every day. Like I say, they don't hit every day. I may have a trade, may have this type of trade 2 days out the week, and then 3 days out the week I won't find these in it. It's just the way the market is. But you just have to be in a position to take advantage of these trades when they present themselves. And that's pretty much all what it's about. All right, so if you have any more questions, I'm going to go to my last slide here. And if you have any questions about how I trade, or you want more information on it, just this is how you can contact me. I've got a blog that I post stuff on, just kind of my journey from where I began to how I got here, and I'm going to continue to post on it. You can follow me on Twitter. I'll post things out there every now and then. Email ed@warriortrading.com. And if you're interested in any one-on-one mentoring, if you like my setups and you want to learn more about them, you can go to this link and you can sign up for some one-on-one mentoring sessions. But any help I can give you, just reach out. You'll find me in chat every day. So until then, everybody have a good rest of the weekend, and I'll see you in chat on Monday.